Many of the top Nazi leaders were tried and executed in Nuremberg. But what about the others? What happened to the SS officers who directly took part in mass murders, deportations, and unspeakable atrocities during the Holocaust? The truth is that hundreds of war criminals managed to escape, some with the help of organized escape networks, others simply taking advantage of the post-war chaos. Many lived quietly for decades, assumed new identities, or were protected by governments that preferred to forget the past. In this video, you will learn about 4 SS officers responsible for brutal crimes and the fate each one met after the collapse of the Third Reich, from trials and public executions to long, comfortable lives in South America. The case of Walter Rauff is perhaps one of the most revolting, not only because of the crimes he committed, but also because of the relatively peaceful life he led after the end of the war. Born in 1906, Rauff was an SS officer who worked directly on the development and supervision of the so-called mobile gas vans, vehicles that functioned as traveling extermination chambers, used to kill thousands of prisoners with carbon monoxide. It is estimated that more than 100,000 people were murdered using this method. During the war, Rauff operated in various occupied territories, including Tunisia, where he took part in the persecution of Jews even in the final years of the conflict. Captured by American forces in 1945, Rauff managed to escape from a prisoner of war camp in 1946. In the following years, he moved through various escape routes across Italy and, like so many others, received support from networks of former Nazis, such as the so-called Rat Line, operated by sympathizers and members of the Catholic Church. In 1948, Rauff arrived in Ecuador and later settled in Chile, where he managed to live openly under his real name. He worked as a factory manager and later as a consultant for fishing companies. Later, he even offered his security services to the Chilean government under Pinochet's dictatorship. Despite repeated extradition requests from countries such as Germany and Italy, the Chilean government refused to hand him over, claiming the crimes were time-barred and that there was a lack of evidence. Rauff was briefly detained but released in 1972. He lived freely until his death on May 14, 1984, in Santiago, at the age of 77. He was never tried for his crimes. The particular case of Dr. Heim was, and still is today, one of the most complex to explain, as his plan to escape justice was extremely elaborate, remaining hidden for almost half a century. That said, let's first look at who Aribert Heim was, better known as Dr. Death. Aribert Heim's father was a police officer, and Heim studied medicine at the University of Vienna. At 21, he joined the Austrian National Socialist Party and, in 1938, became a member of Heinrich Himmler's SS, with membership number 367,744. Initially, he served at the Buchenwald concentration camp under another Nazi doctor, Hannes Eisel. Later, on October 8, 1941, he was appointed chief physician of the Mauthausen camp, where an estimated 118,000 prisoners, including Czechs, Dutch, Soviets, Jews, anti-Nazi resistance members, and Spanish Republicans, were killed. During the 7 weeks he was at Mauthausen, Heim performed surgeries without anesthesia and conducted medical experiments using prisoners as test subjects. He carried out comparative studies on mixtures of poisons, timing how long they took to kill, injecting them directly into the victims' hearts. These practices earned him the nickname El Banderillero among the Spanish deportees, and in the camp he was known as Dr. Death. It is estimated that he was directly responsible for the deaths of hundreds of prisoners during that short period. Stuttgart's criminal police calculated a total of 300 victims. Heim left Mauthausen on November 29, 1941, to join the Waffen-SS. On March 15, 1945, Heim was arrested by the Allies, but was tried only for belonging to the Waffen-SS. His fingerprints were recorded, and the document is still part of his criminal file. He was sent to a forced labor camp and released in 1947. Afterwards, he worked as a doctor in Baden-Baden, in southern West Germany, where he married his fiancée Frieda and, in 1954, opened a gynecology practice. Heim's name resurfaced in 1961 during the trial of a former Nazi in Wiesbaden, when he was mentioned as the Butcher of Mauthausen. He disappeared in 1962, shortly before German police could arrest him. In 1967, family members claimed he had died of cancer in Latin America, possibly using the rat lines, Nazi escape routes. However, recurring money transfers and the discovery of a bank account in Berlin with a balance equivalent to 1 million euros in the early 2000s proved that Heim was still alive. His children did not split this inheritance, which reinforced the suspicion. The Spanish newspaper El Mundo estimated that his considerable fortune had guaranteed him support from the Nazi escape network. At the end of the 1970s, Nazi hunter Simon Wiesenthal, a Mauthausen survivor, asked the German Minister of Justice to bring Heim to trial. The German police issued an arrest warrant and offered a reward of 130,000 euros for information leading to his capture. The Simon Wiesenthal Center, specialized in tracking Nazi criminals, launched an active hunt. In 2002, on the initiative of Ephraim Zuroff, Operation Last Chance was launched in 8 European countries. Heim appeared as the second most wanted Nazi war criminal, behind only Alois Brunner. At the end of 2005, clues emerged that Heim had taken refuge in Spain, in Palafrugell, according to the police. The search resumed in 2006 in Chile, where his sister Waltraud had lived since the 1970s, according to Der Spiegel magazine. In July 2007, the Austrian Ministry of Justice announced a reward of 50,000 euros for any information leading to the location or capture of Aribert Heim or Alois Brunner. According to an investigation by the German TV network ZDF and the New York Times, Heim died in Egypt in 1992. In September 2012, the German judiciary officially declared the death of Nazi criminal Aribert Heim. Alois Brunner was known for many years as the most wanted SS officer in recent decades, held responsible for the deaths of about 120,000 Jews. Brunner was an Austrian officer who held the rank of SS Hauptsturmführer captain during World War II. He played a significant role in the implementation of the Holocaust, being responsible for the persecution, detention, and deportation of Jews in occupied Austria, Greece, France, and Slovakia. He was known as the right-hand man of Adolf Eichmann, the architect of the final solution. Brunner was responsible for sending more than 100,000 European Jews from Austria, Greece, France, and Slovakia to ghettos and concentration camps in Eastern Europe. At the start of the war, he oversaw the deportation of 47,000 Austrian Jews to the camps. In Greece, 43,000 Jews were deported in just 2 months while he was stationed in Thessaloniki. He then became commander of the Drancy internment camp on the outskirts of Paris from June 1943 to August 1944, during which time nearly 24,000 men, women, and children were sent to the gas chambers. His last mission involved the destruction of the Jewish community of Slovakia. After narrowly escaping the Allies a few times shortly after the end of World War II, Brunner managed to avoid capture and fled West Germany in 1954, going first to Egypt and then to Syria, where he remained until his death. In Syria, Brunner was granted asylum by the Ba'athist regime and helped Hafez al-Assad organize the Ba'athist secret police, training them in Nazi torture practices. Brunner was the target of numerous hunts, investigations, and assassination attempts over the years by different groups, including the Simon Wiesenthal Center, the Klarsfelds, and the Mossad. In 1954, he was convicted in absentia in France for crimes against humanity and sentenced to death, a sentence later commuted to life imprisonment in 2001. In Syria, Brunner lost an eye and later the fingers of his left hand as a result of letter bombs sent to him in 1961 and 1980, allegedly by Israeli intelligence services. In 2004, the television series Unsolved History, in an episode titled Hunting Nazis, used facial recognition software to compare Brunner's official SS file photo with a recent photo of Georg Fischer, taken in Damascus, and obtained a match of 8.1 points out of 10, which, despite more than 50 years of aging, was considered equivalent to a 95% certainty match. In 2005, Brazilian police reportedly investigated whether a suspect living in the country under a false name was in fact Alois Brunner. Deputy Commander Asher Ben Artzi, head of Interpol and of Israel's Foreign Relations section, forwarded a request from Brazilian police for Brunner's fingerprints to Nazi hunter Ephraim Zuroff of the Simon Wiesenthal Center in Jerusalem, but Zuroff was unable to locate them. In July 2007, the Austrian Ministry of Justice declared it would pay 50,000 euros for information leading to Brunner's arrest and extradition to Austria. In March 2009, the Simon Wiesenthal Center acknowledged that the possibility of Brunner still being alive was remote. In 2011, some media outlets included him on lists of the world's most wanted criminals. In 2013, the Simon Wiesenthal Center described Brunner as the most important unpunished Nazi war criminal who might still be alive. He was last seen in 2001 in Syria, whose government had resisted international efforts for years to locate or capture him, but he was already presumed dead since 2012. On November 30, 2014, the Simon Wiesenthal Center reported having received reliable information that Brunner had died in Syria in 2010. He would have been 97 or 98 years old. Due to the ongoing Syrian civil war, the exact date and place of death were unknown. Gustav Franz Wagner, one of the most brutal SS officers and a central figure in the Nazi extermination machine. Born on July 18, 1911, in the Austrian city of Vienna, Wagner was known for his ruthless cruelty and gained notoriety mainly for his role as deputy commander of the Sobibor extermination camp, located in German-occupied Poland. Wagner joined the Nazi Party and the SS in the 1930s, and with the outbreak of the war, he was quickly integrated into the so-called Action T4, the Nazi euthanasia program that aimed to eliminate people with physical and mental disabilities. He worked directly in the extermination centers of Hartheim, Bernburg, and Hadamar, where thousands of people were murdered with gas in chambers disguised as medical offices. These experiences served as training for many officers who would later be transferred to the camps of Operation Reinhard, the plan for the mass extermination of Jews in Poland. In March 1942, Gustav Wagner was transferred to Sobibor, where he served as the camp's deputy commander under the command of Franz Stangl. His role was critical. He coordinated the arrival of the trains, supervised forced labor, and was responsible for organizing the sending of victims to the gas chambers. Several survivors recounted his sadistic behavior, describing Wagner as someone who took pleasure in humiliating, torturing, and executing prisoners, often shooting people on a mere whim. He was called the Wolf by the detainees, and his name inspired panic among all who crossed his path. Wagner remained in Sobibor until the Great Uprising that took place in October 1943, when camp prisoners managed to kill several guards and escape en masse. After the closure of Sobibor, Wagner was transferred to other extermination camps, including Lublin, and later to the war front. When the war ended, Wagner managed to flee Europe with the help of escape networks such as the famous Rat Lines, which used false documents provided by members of the Catholic Church and the Red Cross. In 1950, under the false identity of Günther Mendel, he arrived in Brazil, where he went on to live quietly, eventually becoming a naturalized Brazilian citizen. For decades, Wagner lived in the country with a relative sense of security, However, his identity was discovered in the 1970s when a group of Nazi hunters led by Simon Wiesenthal managed to locate him. In 1978, his arrest in Brazil made international headlines. Several countries, including West Germany, Poland, Israel, and Austria, requested his extradition, but the Supreme Federal Court of Brazil rejected the requests, citing his acquired nationality and procedural issues. In a shocking interview given to the Brazilian press at the time, Gustav Wagner stated that he had no regrets for anything he had done. His statements further increased international outrage and the frustration of Holocaust survivors, who saw in him a symbol of the impunity of those who had actively participated in the final solution. Wagner was found dead in his apartment in Atibaia, São Paulo, on October 3, 1980, with a knife embedded in his chest. The official version maintained by the authorities was suicide, but many believe he was executed, possibly in revenge or by people connected to extermination networks who wished to silence his secrets. To this day, the death of Gustav Wagner remains shrouded in mystery. A figure of absolute cruelty and sadism, Wagner represents one of the most symbolic cases of Nazi criminals who escaped international justice, but who never managed to completely erase their tracks. Help us keep this project alive here on YouTube by subscribing to the channel. Thanks for watching, God bless you all, and see you soon.